Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to my heart: moral and ethical development and issues in children's literature. Children's literature has been, like I said, very near and dear to my heart. Many have a favorite book that they have saved from their childhood. It's been passed down from generation to generation. A lot of them have been something their grandparents have read to them or their parents have instilled in their hearts. Children's literature positively impacts a child's development in more ways than one. Literature for a child can impact their imagination, their language development, and their social skills. When a child enters kindergarten, they begin to learn their alphabet by recognition and sound. They can process those sounds by blending those sounds into forming words. Those words then become sentences, paragraphs, and then on to simple sentences, which then in turn become books. Early on, a child is introduced to reading, whether it's from a letter or a sound, which then we welcome them into a whole new world. So I talked about introducing them into sounds and letter recognition. We do that by using an alphabet chart and letter recognition. They recognize those letters and those sounds by, for example, the most common for a child is an A. A is for apple. A, apple, ah. And like that. And nowadays, kids will recognize like McDonald's, M, and so forth. Burger King, B. Taco Bell, C. Whatever their grocery store is around here, it's Kroger, K. And then simple sentences, which then become small paragraphs and then small books. Like in kindergarten, we use phonics readers, decodable readers, with small books with repetition. Hot, hot, hot. And when you open those up, it's still completely repetition. This one is Pal Got Hot. Throughout this whole book is the word hot. On most every page is the word hot. So at the end of the week, the child completely knows how to sound out and spell the word hot. And it continues on into the next week. The stimulation of a child's imagination is often done through a good book and surprisingly through poetry. Marianne Moore said, "Poetry is an art of creating an imaginary garden with toads. Your child just has to find the seed for her poem, which are everywhere, in a favorite sport, in the rain, a feeling, a cool stream, in even a friend's crazy hat, a cat cuddled on her lap, a dream." Repetitive poetry is another way to stimulate the imagination. In doing this, you can help to create rhythm that in turn involves your child to move, strikes up interest, and helps them to remember what that poem is about. Repetition is another way the poet creates sound effects in the poem. Touch and feel books are another great way to help stimulate the imagination, which is why we use a lot of those in preschool. When a child can feel what something feels like, they can better relate to that experience and remember it. A child's imagination is used every time they decide to take an adventure, which is also called a book. All they have to do is decide what kind of adventure they want to go on. They have the whole world of adventures at their fingertips. They can travel the world, or they can go back in time. They can even skip ahead in the future. The choice is theirs. All they have to do is to decide. Children's literature is also known to help enhance language development. A child who is read to early on has a much better advantage than a child who is never read to, or one who is read to later on in life. Think of a baby who is read to in utero. Think of the mother who puts the headphones on her belly and plays classical music in hopes that her baby is going to be a genius. The advantage these children have is an enhanced vocabulary and better phonemic awareness. They are even more apt to be descriptive in their writing, expanding their imagination. These children who are read to have a significant advantage over the children who are not. Children's literature introduces children to many topics they may not have been presented to otherwise before an incident may happen. We call this socialization. Socialization is a process beginning during childhood which individuals acquire the values, habits, and attitudes of society. When something like this happens, books are fantastic tools to have on hand. For example, books can introduce a child to people that are unlike them. A couple of children's books that I relate to socialization are A Sick Day by Amos McGee by Philip Steed. Amos, in this book, teaches the value of friendship and how positively lending a hand can help impact the world around you. In this particular story, friendship is between a man and a zoo animal. It's not between two human beings. In Kitten's First Full Moon by Kevin Hinkes, even though the kitten mistakes her milk bowl for a moon, she teaches the readers about perseverance. While literature has been around for ages, so has a child's imagination, language development, and socialization. These things didn't just land in our laps. A child's imagination was something that just came naturally in the world. Before the television, before video games, and cell phones. Because school wasn't as important as it was to work in the fields, language development was just taken for what it was. School was not a luxury affordable to all as it is nowadays. Now that school is available to all, there is much more structure put on language development. Socialization, like language development, was not a sustainable focus 100 years ago because families stayed on their farms. Now we need to know how to be around others and to get along. Children's literature can help children of all ages with this. In the words of LeVar Burton, it's in a book. Take a look. These things are all at our fingertips. We just have to take the time to do them and to teach our children. Thank you.